Hello, this is Mario Moraga.
And this is John Ramos, and this is Familia Flamenco Podcast.
Guys, we're so happy today because we have a really special guest. I think it's the second time that we have something else after Joanna and myself. And today we want to introduce yourself, a person who both of us, Joanna and myself, were used to see himself on YouTube channels with learning and teaching us guitar and sharing a lot of really good material and content on YouTube. So we want to ask for a big applause to our good friend Kai Narezo from Flamenco Explained. Let's see himself.
Hey guys.
Hello, hello.
There we go.
Hey.
Welcome, Kai. Thanks a lot for coming.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, Kai is joining us from Granada, Spain. So it's pretty awesome over there. Like I'm here in Denver. We got Mario Moraga from Jerez right now, right? Correct. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kai, for joining us today. I know you have a busy schedule, so yeah, let's get this going. Alrighty, so we're just gonna ask a few questions, just to kind of get this going. Yeah. So I mean, like, if would you like, how long have you been playing flamenco music, and how did you start?
Ooh, okay. I've been playing for a really long time. I started actually playing flamenco around 1987.
Nice.
So you can do the math. And I actually started because I saw a lot of, you guys may not be familiar with this, but I saw Roy Clark on a rerun of The Odd Couple play a malagueña on a steel string guitar. And I was already playing guitar and I just loved it. And I asked my mom, who's Mexican, I just kind of banged it out on the guitar, bum, 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 bum. And I played it for my mom and she was like, oh, that's flamenco. And I was like, okay, cool. And so she got a record that she had of Manitas de Plata. So that was like the first thing I heard. And then I had this idea that I liked flamenco, right? But of course I had no idea what flamenco was. And this is probably when I'm like 14 or something. And then, so I started, my sister gave me a tape of Paco. So I started to listen, so I was like, okay, there's Paco de Lucia, there's some other people, but I still didn't really know what flamenco was. And then I went to college in New York. And so when I moved to New York to go to college, I thought there's got to be a flamenco teacher in New York. So I found Dennis Coster. And I always say it's basically a coincidence that I ended up falling in love with what flamenco really was. Because at that point, I had no idea. I kind of knew, like a lot of people, I knew the sound. I knew that I liked that sound, but I had no idea what flamenco was or how it worked or any of that. And so I started with Dennis and I became very obsessed. And I started to play for dance classes way before I, had any business playing for dance class. I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't know that I shouldn't be doing that. So I just showed up and sat in, and Jose Molina in New York, screamed at me a lot and told me everything I was doing wrong. And then I'd run home and practice that. And so, yeah, so it was basically in college. I'd been playing the guitar since I was 12. And then, so I'm like 17, 18, and I start actually finding out what flamenco is. And then I went to Cordoba for a couple of years for the festival there.
It's been, I think they are starting actually in the next days.
Yeah. It was an amazing experience. I met people that are still my friends when I did that. I saw Vicente Amigo play, before his first record came out, just because I happened to be there. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then after college, I moved to Spain, and then, I've been doing it ever since.
That's great. Yeah, I really like also, I went 2 times, I think, for the workshop that Manolo Sanlúcar used to give on the festival. And I had really, and as you said something that also happened to me. It's like when you are surrounded like a lot of flamenco lovers, because in July it's so hot,
right?
And you with those temperatures are available to go to Cordoba 5-6 days for to take lessons and to be down 110 Fahrenheit degrees.
Yeah.
Because you're a really flamenco lover. You really like flamenco guitar if you're going to Cordoba these times.
Yeah,
so you're right. Because
of course, you don't know that the first time you're going, you don't know. But like Tara was asking me, how we survived, because I remember one day, the first year I don't know if it really was, but one of the things with the temperature said 48 degrees.
Yeah.
So it was insane. And so I was telling her we would all go and play for an hour, and every hour on the hour we would meet at the little store and get ice cream, right? And cool off or have a beer or something. We'd hang out for like 15 minutes, and then we'd go back and play again. And then, because it was
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
I can only imagine.
A pro tip maybe for our people who are listening: if you want to go to the to the guitar festival in Cordoba, go there. But if you want to visit Cordoba, try, and you don't like guitar, maybe it's not a nice moment, July or August, to visit Cordoba.
I mean,
my
Spain,
God.
Andalusia in general, in
Yeah.
summer I mean, we do our workshops in July here, and it's kind of brutal, but it's the guitar festival, so it's like it's the right
Yeah.
time to do it.
That's it. You're right.
But it's tough. Yeah, you got to basically, I mean, and that's kind of how it's one of the ways flamenco works, right? It's like you stay inside and sleep all day, and then so you have dinner at 9 or 10, and then you're out all night, and then so you're out when it's not quite so hot.
I bet.
Yeah.
And then I like the way you put it, though. Like I feel like most of us, when we start learning flamenco, like we listen to flamenco, we don't know what it is exactly, but we like the sound. Like it's kind of how I started. Like when I heard it the first time, I was like, "What is this? This sounds amazing!" But then like when I started listening to it, like everything kind of sounded the same. But as soon as I started like like studying it, like listening, like paying more attention, like I started like seeing the difference between soleas, bulerías, seguirillas, stuff like that. So I like the way you put it. Like many of us start like that, which brings us to the next question. So I know you started your channel, Flamenco Explained. It's been a very successful channel. Myself, I've been learning falsetas from you. I've been learning, compasses. So it's like, finally I get to meet you. We met before. When we did the Colar Institute of Flamenco like seminar about a month ago. But yeah, so the next question goes: how did the idea of Flamenco Explained started? What started?
Yeah, so it started as a book, basically. I had some students, but one student in particular tell me, this was a guy who was a very accomplished classical player who loved flamenco, and he'd studied flamenco in Spain. He'd studied flamenco with, some important players, but he felt like he just didn't get it. And then we started doing some lessons, and he felt like he finally got it. And he was like, dude, the way you explain it makes so much sense. He was like, you really need to share this more widely. So he kind of worked on me for a while. And finally I was like, all right, we will try to find a way to, because I didn't really think like, oh, I have a system for teaching flamenco. I just taught flamenco, sort of the way. And it felt like I was teaching the way I had been taught. But I think because my background is a little funny, I just approach it a little differently, I think, because I really played flamenco for about 10 years before I went to music school, right? So when I went to music school, I was already a flamenco guitarist, and that was really all I knew. So everything I learned, I mean, I didn't even read music my first semester at Berkeley. Like, it was basically remedial stuff that I had to do when I got to Berkeley. So everything I learned, I was trying to find a way to apply this to flamenco or to help understand what I was doing. Or, my brain was already a flamenco brain. So I think because I learned flamenco first and then, how to talk about music and the language of all that, maybe I approach it in a way that for certain people just works better. I'm sure not for everyone, but there's a kind of person who, gets the way I teach flamenco, right? So we tried to put that into book form. And then we had the book. And then the real story is that someone wanted to hire me to teach flamenco on their teaching website. And so Tara, my wife, and I shot a ton of content. And, I'd been recording guitars, and I had a studio in LA, so I was good at the audio stuff. She'd been doing videos all her life and editing. She worked for Fender actually before and did their videos. So between us, we were like a great little team. We shot a ton of material. And then right before we were supposed to sign the contract with these people, they got kind of flaky. And I said, I'm not going to do this. And so we had all this material we had shot. And so we said, all right, let's just do it ourselves. And so we started the Flamenco Explained site at that point. So, I mean, the YouTube stuff is really like, it's kind of just marketing for the site. You know, it's like we end up putting a lot of stuff on YouTube. But the YouTube, like if you only know Flamenco Explained through YouTube, then you probably don't get a sense of how sort of organized we can be. Like if you come to Flamenco Explained, you know, we will take you from the beginning and really teach you everything. If you're looking at us on YouTube, you'll find a lot of cool stuff that really makes sense if you already play flamenco. You know,
Man,
but
you answered a big problem that I had on the last couple of weeks. I want to thank you a lot because I'm starting to take care about my YouTube channel on the last 2-3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I'm Spanish. I try always to speak English as better as I can and as also as slow as I can to let US or in general English speakers to understand myself on the best way, you know. And you know, sometimes you do short videos, long videos, but always around my ethic, my ethical, you call it my way of thinking.
Your sensibility, yeah.
That's it. But also, once that you keep doing a new video every week, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 11 minutes, which is you already know, it takes time to edit, to record, to perfect, to change. Some of them works more, some of them works less. That it's like then you see another channels which is not yours, okay, and see just people use YouTube as an entertainment, not for learning. But people want to learn in YouTube. That's the thing. You see how the content creators are using their channels to make people entertain themselves, not for learning. And us, because of you grow up as a guitarist before than a musician, and that's the same situation that I have. Yeah. It's like, man, I don't want to make a YouTube channel as a Netflix program, just to let people know a lot of things with no order. We try to make it in order on the different playlists, organization techniques, or whatever. But at the end, it's like if we want to work on the right way, it's like we have to think that YouTube is an entertainment place in which people are going to have fun. But the wrong thing is that they think that they are learning. At the end, yeah, they can learn some tips because they already learned some things about YouTube, about marketing, about whatever, different things, you know? But the problem is that most people think that they can learn in YouTube, and it's so difficult. And it's so difficult.
No, like our YouTube channel will not teach you flamenco. You know, it's like if you play flamenco, there's a lot of cool stuff on there. You know? But yeah, it's not organized. And I mean, what you're saying, I exactly relate to. I mean, I think a lot of people, it's like infotainment. You know, it's like I get people who are like, hey, I just learned this new falseta by Antonio Rey, and they can't play in compás. So it's like, all right, cool. You know, great. Like, have fun with that. I can't play that falseta. You know, maybe you can play it. I can't play his stuff. You know, and also, you know, so, you know, you don't want to lecture people and tell them like, oh, you need to be doing that. But at the same time, I feel like part of my responsibility as someone who's had like amazing teachers and so much good luck, you know, like the only reason I can do what I do is because of a lot of good luck and a lot of great teachers I had. And so I feel like it's a responsibility for me to tell people like, you know, if you want to, and the other thing I tell people, and this seems to get through to people, it's like, if you want to get that ole, you know, play 4 compases with soniquete and you'll get the ole. You know, you try to play a Paco falseta, even if you nail it, we've all heard that before, and Paco did it better. You know, so it's like, it's more important to understand how it works. You know, that's really like flamenco is more about the other stuff.
We have to talk more. Okay, we have some many things in common. We have to talk about it. Yeah, because yesterday we recorded 7 videos, exactly 7. Part of our book, just to in 2 different ways, just to make different videos in which I teach an exercise as a lesson, a 2-minute video with the tabs on the top. And I say, okay, let's see those videos, how work. Maybe people don't want to hear myself talking. Okay, maybe people just want to play and practice and learn new exercises. And it's like, yesterday was recording, I was saying, Mario, you are getting out from your path. But say, hey, let's try. Okay, because maybe with the time also we can learn and try to have both of the paths at the same time. Let people know what it's flamenco really, not just to practice an exercise, it's not just to buy a book. And I have a book, But it's not to learn flamenco. It's not to buy my book. There are so many things extra that you need to know to really feel, understand, and at the end know what you're playing, because it's happened maybe for sure to yourself. Mario, learn a song. We have no songs in flamenco. We have styles. Unless you play a flamenco piece by Paco, by Manolo, or by Vicente, no? I want to learn a song. When I hear people say I want to learn a song, it's like, no, you maybe need to read a little bit just for 2 days, like really special words and meanings and expressions that we have, because not makes sense to play a Juan Martin Solea or Juan Serrano Solea if you don't know what is Solea, if you don't know what are the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if you don't know what is a flamenco key, or you are feeling that you're playing on E major, and it's not E major. E major is an alegría, it's C flamenco, so many different things that also don't want people to know, professionals, about theory, but at the end, they are the roots, like the foundation, no? So of flamenco in general, and it's easy for any person who has not music level to understand, like just a little, the most roots, to at least understand. If you want to start practicing Solea, okay, let's talk for 1 hour about Solea. Solea have different styles, singers, Triana, Utrera, Lebrija, a little bit, and once that you start listening Solea after maybe this 1 hour talk, things are different.
Yeah, you start to get a sense of.
That's it.
And that's actually, so we really, I mean, when we first started Flamenco Explained, we did a couple guitar solos, and then I taught the solo. I think we did 2 of them. And after that, I was like, no, this isn't right. So our courses, the way we do them now on the site, like, we teach you how to play compás, we teach you how to improvise compás. And then I give you, 4, 5, 6 falsetas depending. And then at the end, I talk about how to put it all together to make your own solo. So you can take falsetas from somewhere else. You don't have, maybe you don't like the falsetas I taught you, or maybe, you already know a couple, so that's my goal, is to get people to be able to either, the real goal is to get them to improvise a solo, but most of them, at least they come up with their own version, right? Because it's like, that's so flamenco, is to we all play Paco stuff, right? We all play some Vicente, we all play some Tomatito, and it's that's what forms you as a player, right? So it's like, at first, I probably had a bulería that was like all Tomatito that I played for years, before I started writing stuff, and then little by little I would add in my own stuff, and then after a while I'm only playing my own stuff, but it evolves, and if you think of it as a set piece, it's not really flamenco.
And that's also and it's happening because of you were flamenco before you teach flamenco, and that's really important. Because it's happened to me when I am on a juerga, on a party, because of at the end my goal is to share with my guys what I know on the best way that I can. I know the juerga, and I'm thinking, okay, we are on a bulería juerga or sevillana, rumba, whatever, and I say, hey, I take the tone, I know when it's a capo, I know if it's on minor, major key, or flamenco key, whatever is happening in the party.
Yeah.
So me as a teacher or a person want to share my knowledge with people in general, and people that are really far from this way of thinking and living. Because they think that I am on a party with my friends. Right. But at the end, I'm with people that I don't know. I don't know how they sing. I don't know where they are from, which style of singing they have. And I don't know the key, the capo, nothing else. So many things, so a lot of things are happening in just 1 minute that a lecture take place, So I'm a crazy person around, okay, let's break down what is happening. Okay, I listen to the singer. I try to catch his tone or her tone. Now I have to find this note on my fretboard to see where the capo is, on the third, on the fourth, on the fifth. I'm a crazy guy about break it down, and let's see how I can explain a person to really share themselves how I feel on these type of situations.
And the reality is, until you do it a couple times, that's why I talk so much about like how much I got yelled at when I first started playing, because the point is really just that I made a million mistakes. I didn't know what I was doing, and I learned from making all those mistakes, right? So what you're talking about is like this lifetime of experience, right? You know how to do this. We know how to do this. So if I meet a singer or I'm at a juerga and someone starts to sing, I'm going like, well, okay, capo's on the 4th fret, por medio, great, and we just go, right? Now, for someone who's never done this before, like, there's so much to process.
It's
It's
a big,
like driving a car. If you try to explain how to drive a car, it's impossible, but once you've been doing it for a while,
yeah,
it's like that, right? So for you, it's second nature.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's
and
a
I
hard
can
thing.
relate to that. I'll go. Sorry.
Oh, just it's a hard thing to teach, right? Because you can't tell someone, no matter how much you tell them, you can't prepare them. Like they have to do it and they have to mess up.
Mhm.
That's how you learn this.
Yeah, and like I said, I can relate to that. When I started doing flamenco, like I had no idea what I was doing. I still remember the first time that I listened to flamenco. The same night I was looking for classes, and then the same night I was my first flamenco class with Adriana. Because
Yeah.
it really made an impact in my life. It was just something so beautiful that I was like, I
Yeah.
need to play this. Like I have to play this.
Yeah.
Uh, and like I made a lot of mistakes. When I started. And I was lucky to like find Adriana, and then after that like I found Mario. Who's like also teaching me. He taught me my first fandango. So remember, yeah, he was doing the Fandango boot camps, and yeah, and then like just by looking at the YouTube videos, I have a friend that even he was even telling me like, cause he's like he plays like punk music and stuff, it's kind of like popular here in Denver, and he was even telling me it's like, what do you have teachers? You can just learn that on YouTube. I was like, no, I mean, no, it's like,
Yeah.
well, just watch a video over and over again. You get, I was like, no, this is not the same as like, I mean, I feel like you like certain things like metal, like rock stuff like that, you can learn it on like on YouTube because it's
Yeah.
a little easy, like the compass, well, not the compass, but like the time signatures are like
Yeah.
very related to like the American culture and stuff like that. But when it comes to like compasses, like Solea, stuff like that, it's like completely different. Like it took me a while to understand like the accents and everything. Like I think it took me like a year to finally sound good because like before a year, like I just sounded really bad. Like I mean, I played a falseta, but it didn't sound like a falseta. It just sounded
Right.
like something else.
But you
Um,
can also sound good and not sound flamenco, right? Like
mhm,
there are amazing guitarists who
mhm,
come from other styles and they can, maybe they actually can play that Antonio Rey falseta, but
mhm,
they're not flamenco players, right?
mhm,
Because they've just learned how to play those notes, and so
That's
that's
what
part of it.
they learn as a song, not
mhm.
as a
Exactly
style.
right.
Exactly.
Not in the context of what flamenco is.
Mhm,
It's like, so yeah, that's the hard part when you're learning, and people are coming from people who grow up in the States, people like me who didn't grow up with this music.
mhm,
You got to work your ass off to understand it, or at least listen. I don't think it's like, it never felt like work, but it's like you listen. You have to listen to flamenco, and this is you were talking about like one piece of advice. Like absolutely, my one piece of advice for anyone learning flamenco is listen to flamenco. I mean, it's amazing how many people are taking lessons with me. They're like, I've been playing flamenco for 6 years. I'm like, who do you listen to? And they're like, and it blows my mind. It's like, you are not going to learn this music if you're not listening to this music a lot. Like that's the only way.
You're right. And I think, because it's also something that happened to myself when I was starting to learn guitar. The $1 million question is like, I've been playing for 3 years. Okay, let's see how you play, and they play nothing.
Yeah.
Or they have the general idea of one solea melody, not falseta melody, or one fandango melody, one alegrias melody, but at the end they don't know how to make it happen, at least correct on rhythm.
Yeah.
For me, if it's happening, it could be because of two different things: because of they are learning alone with no teacher, or because of maybe their teacher is not the best one. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say this word. I will think that there are people that have so many books, really like flamenco, but I always say the same thing. Well, if you want to learn flamenco, you just have to learn 3 falsetas and 3 rhythm patterns of the style that you want to learn.
Right.
Like 3 falseta of solea and 3 rhythm patterns, and you will know how to play at least a small piece,
Yeah.
mhm.
But we focus on exercises and techniques, and everything is so important, for sure. But then, if you want to play flamenco, if you want to learn flamenco, you have to play flamenco. It's like, and you learn by play flamenco by playing flamenco.
And you
Mhm.
have to listen to flamenco, I mean,
Exactly. You have to immerse yourself
Yeah.
into the world of flamenco.
I mean, especially if you want to accompany, it's like you have to,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in dance class, it's like you can't learn to play without, I think, accompanying a lot, and you start out in class and then you move to the stage after you've done that enough. But that's like where you learn all this basic language, like people talk, like jazzers are always talking about, like, do you have the bebop vocabulary? And I feel like there's flamenco vocabulary, right? That you learn it coming
Mhm.
up and you learn it listening, I'm not, I always say I'm not a flamencólogo, right? Like I can't tell you the history of stuff. I don't know exactly who the first person to sing this was, but someone starts singing something and I'm like, oh, that's that Morente thing, right? Oh, that's a Camaronte. It's like, it's familiar because that's what I listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't have that, it's really hard, and it's hard to feel compás if you're not. That's really the bottom line, right? It's like compás is hard if you didn't grow up with it. And that's what it keeps coming back to.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I started learning flamenco, I felt like I had to relearn how to play music because I've been playing music since I was like little. But then when I started learning flamenco, I felt like I had to relearn how to play the guitar because it was a whole different like creature. You know what I mean? Like
totally, yeah. Well, that's like me now. If you hand me an electric guitar, it feels like an oboe. Like it's not my instrument. It's still a guitar. I can play some chords on it, but
you play some melodies, but that's you can't really play flamenco on an electric guitar. It doesn't have that sound.
Right.
The pulling and everything. And that brings us to the next question. Okay, so what would be your favorite palo of flamenco and why?
No.
Yeah, I cannot answer this.
Yeah, I can tell you my least favorite.
Okay.
But the garrotin. I have no love for garrotin.
Okay, I agree.
But everything, it depends. It's like I'll be with a singer and they'll be singing something and I'll be like, oh right, I need to revisit this, and then I get obsessed with malagueña for a month or two, and then I'm writing some seguiria, so I'm obsessed with seguiria for a month or so, and I mean, bulería is the most fun most of the time. But yeah, it totally, like, I don't think any real player has like a favorite.
And I agree with that, because I feel like there are times, like an entire month I listen to soleas, the next month I listen to like tangos. Like lately I've been listening to a lot of like tangos de Triana, and like I've been trying to like listen to the singing as well, trying to incorporate, because the flamenco, it wouldn't be flamenco without the singer, so that's amazing, and probably next month I'm gonna be, so I've been working on bulerias lately as well, so probably next month, I'm just gonna like listen to bulerias just to kind of get the groove on it, so
actually what you said, like when I'm talking about listening, like I barely listen to guitarists anymore. Like I basically listen to cante because it's more fun for me. And I think that's hugely important. Like there's so many people who are like, oh, I don't like the cante, and it's like
so
if you don't like the cante, you don't like flamenco, basically. And I learned by accident to love cante. Like when I started coming to Spain, there were all these, in the record stores would have these bins of 99 peseta, records of old flamenco singers. But I'd be like, oh, Melchor de Marchena is playing on this record, I'm gonna buy it. Like I would buy them for the guitarists, right? And I would have to like get through the singing to hear the falseta and to hear the accompaniment, and then little by little I just the cante just got into me, and like by accident. And of course you're always listening to Camarón and Morente.
And I have to agree with that, because when I started doing flamenco, I mainly listen to the instrumental part of it. I think most of it, like, like Western people listen to the instrumental part of it. And then it took me a little bit to grow into the singing, because I just didn't understand it, like, because it's not the conventional, like, like singing with the notes and everything. It's more like it comes from the soul, it comes from the pain, it comes from the suffering, like it also comes from the happiness, joy. It has a lot of things, and then I was even looking at some Reddit like blogs and like some forums, and most people are like, well, I like playing the instrumental part, but I hate the singing. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, like if you want to like really learn flamenco, you have to listen to the singing, because the singing, like you can almost hear the guitar in the singing, and that's kind of how I hear it.
Yeah, I mean the peña that we go to here in Granada, when there's a singer, it's packed, and when there's a guitarist, no matter how great the guitarist is, it's like half full, right? Like people just appreciate the cante more, and guitar nerds will go see the solo guitar concerts, but a good singer, the place is packed. That's really. And the dance is fun, but the real here, and anyway, at our peña and
to attend those places.
What's that?
Yeah, at the end, to go to the peñas is also like the best tool that we have.
Yeah, it's all about the cante,
Cool.
So, yeah, I really think listening, and you can start. There's a lot of start with pata negra, start with gitama, if you don't dig, the super hondo stuff, I mean, there's so much fun camaron, right? Start with the later camaron that's a little more modern, and it's easier to digest. A lot of morente, I think, is easy to digest. But yeah, I mean, listening to flamenco and listening to the cante are like the two things that I think distinguish people who are flamenco players versus guitarists who play flamenco.
And I think that this is the last question that we are supposed to ask, that he already answered them. And I also agree with that. I always say to the guys, it's like, hey guys, you have to follow the rule, the 80-20. Listen the 80% of the time and play the 20% of the time. Looks crazy, but makes more sense. That's what I do when I'm with a dancer or with a singer for the first time. I am rehearsing or creating the music or composing. Sometimes we get stuck on the same section for 1 and 2 and 3 with never improving and going through the song because we got stuck for some reason. And sometimes we have to stop, leave the guitar on the case, listen what you are learning or trying to learn or trying to play, analyze it, maybe do the rhythm on the table to see if it fits on rhythm correctly or not, or do the palmas and try to sing the melody in your mind to see if it makes sense, because of maybe you're playing something that doesn't make sense and it's not correct.
Right. And actually, we should have talked about that sooner, right? Palmas. If like all the stuff you do away from the guitar is huge, right? Because if you can't palmas, you don't have compás. If you're not listening, you're not going to be able to play. So it's not about, yes, hours with the guitar in your hand are important, but if you're serious about this, there's a lot of other important stuff, and the palmas are absolutely essential. And as you learn some cante and you're doing it with the palmas, it's like that's way more important than that falseta. If you can sing a letra while you're doing palmas or even hum it, I always tell people, like, you don't have to sing well, but you have to sing, right? You have to be able to sing the melody so that you can say, like, whatever it is, you have to be able to sing it while you're doing palmas.
You're right.
To get it.
Yeah.
Well,
Man, I think it is the first meeting of maybe more than we will have, because it's like, for me, it's sometimes difficult to find a person who is on the online world with a really in-person knowledge and feelings and process, And for sure, it's not my way or your way the best ones, but it's my way. And I have to say that I've never found a person who are into those two different worlds, which is flamenco on the streets and on the ground, on the la tierra, no?
Yeah.
A person which is reaching the ground, like the real flamenco, and the online world. So I think that we can meet more times, because we can give people like really important tips. Because if I say for myself, they say Mario is saying, or if you say by yourself, you say Kai is saying, or Joan is saying. But if we are together, it's like the message is stronger, not made for the people, for the audience. So I think the first one.
Two little things I want to say. What you just said, I always tell people the words, like, people get so caught up on words in flamenco, and I'll have people say, like, no, a remate means this. And I'm like, or that's a remate, not a desplante. And I'm like, you know what? The words don't matter, because in the other town over here, they're going to use different words to talk about the same thing. So if I know what you're talking about, we won. Like, that's a win. It doesn't matter. It's not who's right about what the word means. And I just always like to say that. And the other little plug for us is what you're talking about doing in person, which is why we started doing these workshops in Granada. We do them at the Plateria, at the Peña, and they're super fun. Because, there's all, obviously we make a living teaching online, and we believe that we do a pretty good job. But, the community, being with other people, playing with friends, actually having someone like see your hand for real and say, like, you just got to turn it this way a little bit and it's going to be so much easier, things like that. Doing it in person, if there's any way you possibly can, is better.
For a really long time now, since until now, it is still working. I have a video, like an advertising video on marketing on Facebook, Instagram, which says you cannot learn flamenco online. And I teach flamenco online, but it says a sentence, you cannot learn flamenco online. I can help yourself on the process of knowing the language, knowing the details, knowing how to play something. But at the end, Spain, for me, and maybe it's not fun for people who are living outside, but at the end, to be here in Spain and be surrounded by music, by the culture, by the lifestyle, is going to be the only thing that is going to give you like the real feeling of the flamenco art. So at the end, it's not to teach online, it's to get ready and get into the process of get ready for your future Spanish trip in 1 year, in 6 months, or in 6 years, whenever you can. No?
Yeah, if you're really serious, if you're going to do this for a living, if this is, but I don't want to discourage people, because one of the things that we say, we kind of say the opposite, which is like, you can learn flamenco, because there's also this whole thing about how flamenco is so, impossible and it's mysterious. And if you weren't born a gypsy, you're never going to learn. And it's like, no, it's a musical style and you can learn how to do that. Now, does that mean you can learn the whole culture of flamenco or Gitano culture or any of it? Yeah, that's a separate issue. But as far as like a style of music, you can learn how to do it, but you didn't grow up with it. And it's really different from, Smoke on the Water. So you're going to have to, but you're totally right. Like if you're serious, not only do you need to go to Spain, but you want to, how can you not want to go to the place where, the guy cleaning the street is listening to Camarón?
Yeah.
You go to the bar, you hear Chinitos, it's like, it's everywhere.
That's a fun.
That's great. That's
great.
Guys,
nice episode today. Also really long. We usually spend 20 minutes, but we're almost 40 years.
Yeah,
I do talk a lot.
The sun is already hitting my face. So.
Always nice. So, okay, so thanks a lot. As I told you, it's the first one of more ones that will come in the future. We will talk later and see what we can do together, because it would be a pleasure to keep talking and being in touch. And at the end, letting people how we live, letting people what we live, and to let them know that they can enjoy the process by practicing learning flamenco guitar at home, which is an important thing for us and for them.
So yeah, like just to like highlight again, like for new students, like you have to get into like singing, get into the like guitar, because there is no singing, there is no guitar without singing, and I feel like that's very important to remark. And now that you guys are mentioning about Spain, though, now I think I gotta go to Spain, so I'll see you guys. Yeah, so, I gotta visit Mario and Jerez, though. You guys need to eat some food over there, man.
Jerez is amazing. I mean, there's no other town that oozes flamenco the way Jerez does. Like in Granada, you have to kind of know where to find it. And Jerez, you just walk down the street and there. I mean, I'm usually there during the festival, so it's even more. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Okay, that's it. Thanks a lot, Kai. Thanks a lot, Joanna, as always, and thanks a lot for all the people who are watching this video and the other one. So we will see you next week on the next episode. And that's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks so much. Bye.